It's a sad box. It's a soap box. It's fan box.
You should see me in the crowd. I'm gonna win, there's nothing to help.
And welcome. This is the Spellbound by Agatha All Along show. We are going episode by episode as they release each week. We are on to episode 5, which has been an amazing episode, the shortest of the show, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and introduce my cast of commentators. First off, we have Juan from Juan Reads Comics. This is his first time on this series, and hopefully we'll have him on more. And so, Juan, welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Miss Marvelite. This is a joy to be here. I'm Juan Reads Comics. Currently, right now, you can find me on TikTok only. I've been working on YouTube and some other social media stuff at the moment, but I'm primarily on TikTok at the moment. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
No, absolutely. And I will say, I've also been loving some of the stuff that you did, like with Mickey for Play for Keeps.
Yeah,
talking about some of the stuff that you've collected, and you can also find Juan as he does stuff for Nerd Initiative, which, if you don't know, we're all a big happy family. And if you don't know what Nerd Initiative is, I don't know why you're watching us, but Nerd Initiative, you can find them nerdinitiative.com. And of course, if you want to know more about us, we're on itsfanbox.com. It's Fanbox everywhere else. And then we've got Toniann with us again this week. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Toniann. I am on TikTok and Instagram as Scarlet Bruja on TikTok, and then on Instagram it's just the Scarlet Bruja, which Bruja is witch in Spanish, so it's Scarlet Witch or the Scarlet Witch. But my name is not Scarlet; it is Toniann.
Absolutely. No, it's funny because when we've had you on the show first time, I realized I've been mispronouncing your username.
It's okay.
This whole time.
It's
and
okay.
Again, that's why it's important to hear people say things. I feel like every TikTok creator should have a moment where it's like, "Hi, I am," and just go with it, because let's face it, people watch and then they just kind of assume.
Yep.
And then we've got David with us. David is back as always. Appreciate it. Surviving the storm of the last couple of hurricanes. David, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I already forgot about the hurricane. It was only a couple days ago, but I am Xanatos1138 on all social medias, mostly on TikTok. Everywhere else, I just kind of repost TikToks, so you can find me there. Yeah, that's it.
And huge shout out to Cell Phone Wallet Keys, Mickey Smith, in the comments, just shouting out "What's up, witches?" Absolutely super excited about this evening. I'm going to go ahead just a quick second and get everything ready. So before we get started, let's go ahead and talk about just how we feel about this last episode. Let's go ahead and get general context, general thoughts. Juan, you're at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and let you start first.
Oh, wow. Put the pressure on. Okay. So, man, I didn't think I was going to, I'm just going to be honest. I didn't really think I was going to enjoy this as much as I am right now. With the penguin being out there and everything, I was more excited for the penguin. But after watching the first 2 episodes, I'm like, okay, you guys got me now. I'm hooked. I'm hook, line, and synced right now. The first 3 episodes, absolutely amazing. I've already kind of felt like it was going to be like to me, it felt like an escape room vibe. Like each trial is like an escape room for me. And then getting to the 4th episode was really awesome. And then now in the 5th, and you said it right at the top, it is the shortest episode out of them all. But I think it's done for a reason, for it to like kind of like let you breathe and let you marinate with everything that we've gotten so far. Even though there is a lot of things that happen within this episode, some things that were reversed, what we thought were what was going to be like the Wiccan being involved, and the kid, and who's the son, who's the mom, who what's going on here. So that's the whole thing. I really love this show. It's how a mystery show should be done, and they're doing it just right. And that's all I got to say. I don't want to give too much away.
Okay, Toniann.
I already knew I was going to love Agatha all along, but it feels like the perfect extension of WandaVision. Like, I feel like time has obviously elapsed, but it's like the vibes are there, everything is there. And this episode, I was asking questions the whole time. I was like, who is that? What's happening? And then at the end, you can ask my husband. I was screaming. I was like, no way. Like, oh my gosh, so good. So this is my favorite episode so far. Episode 5 in Marvel shows, they do so well. Like every single show, episode 5 like blows me away. So I loved it.
Yeah, especially
David?
with that song right at the end.
Yeah.
I love music, like when they put music in shows like that, and I got chills, and I took a picture on my phone of the screen cap, and I was like, I cannot believe this is happening right now.
Oh man, I feel much the same as Juan. I was more hyped for the Penguin going into this, and then watching Agatha all along is like, okay, no, this is really fun. And then each episode, I go, this is my favorite episode. Then the next week, this is my favorite episode. It just keeps getting better. And Catherine Hahn is amazing at what she does, and just also the ending where you get the reveal of Wiccan and it segues perfectly into the music. I'm like, chills. That was so cool.
You know, it's funny looking at every Marvel series that we've gotten, and I've loved a lot of them. WandaVision, Loki, and I'm not, let's say season 1, because I think season 2 had some of the commonality issues when it comes to pacing that some of the other ones. But again, season 2 was still good for Loki. Were in Falcon and Winter Soldier were solid shows, and then I feel like we went down a path of great concepts, just not a lot of time to execute. And you kind of got to a point in like episodes 4, episodes 5, when you kind of get to that penultimate episode, and you're sitting there going, I don't know how they're going to resolve all of this. I don't know how we're getting to an end product. It feels like there's a lot that still needs to be done. The greatest part about this show, and one, I was looking for it since WandaVision, because I wanted, as soon as they did that flashback in WandaVision for Agatha being judged by the other witches in her coven, I was like, I want more of this. I want to see ancient Marvel, magic and witchcraft. Like, don't give us just a battle in Jotunheim or a battle, in Tonsberg. I want to see like stuff from like Salem and stuff. I want to see how this all works into it, because you're making it part of the mythos. And I have not left an episode going, I don't know how they're going to quantify this, because I don't know where they're going. And because of that, I am more frustrated for the fact that I have to wait as long as I need to get to the next episode. Like,
yeah,
it makes me go back and watch the episode all over again. And then I see things that I didn't see before. And it has been fun. It has been campy, and it has been something that I leave every episode. I mean, from the music selection at the end, when Sharon dies and it's off with her head, and you're like, really? You're going to be that heartless? And I mean, just the way they end it, and coming into this one and seeing, like, I love how they've shared some things like witches on brooms, and they've done the craft and witchcraft, but you get them complaining about what the misconceptions are. And it's just been fun, because it's like, we're not what you think of witches. This is Marvel witches, and Marvel witches are pretty awesome. So that's my overall thought with all of this. Is coming into episode 5, normally I start getting nervous, because as much as I love Marvel, you get a little nervous.
Yeah.
Not with this show. Not at all with this show. It's just been a fun fest, and seeing the people who react online and are just loving, especially that end with Teen/Billy. It was everything. It was absolutely everything. Anything anybody wants to add before we start like breaking down the episode a little bit? I see heads moving. No. We're gonna just go into it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
just do it.
So that we're on the Witch's Road. There, we kind of pick up where we left off before. Agatha has just been given the revelation from Rio at the end of episode 4 that Teen is not Nicholas Scratch, which we all kind of knew, and the world now knows, and Funko Pop, definitely spoiled for us. And then we noticed that the Salem 7 are on the hunt for Agatha, and everyone is kind of freaking out. And I love the explanation that they gave, that these were the children of Agatha's coven, and Agatha's takeaway is Mercy's going to come back to haunt you, basically. I didn't expect, because in the comics the Salem 7 are her children, I believe. And so this is definitely a different turn from it, and it makes a lot more sense. I think it raises the stakes a bit.
Yeah, definitely does. Yeah, definitely does.
Yeah. What do y'all think about the broom flight? Like,
I loved it. And I love Rio. Like her maniacal witch laugh. I was loving that. I was like, I love how she plays into being like the witch that everyone, like the type of witch everyone thinks of when they think of the word witch.
It's like the cliche Bugs Bunny witch.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It was
definitely
perfect.
Yeah, I got Harry Potter vibes a little bit when I was watching it. I felt like I was watching an episode of like a Harry Potter show or something, but I really loved the way they did everything, and just everything about this show is just awesome. I can't get my words out because I'm so excited that I'm here with you three guys. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited.
Well, it's really cool how they did the brooms where you had to be a part of a team. You had to be part of a coven in order for that even to happen. Like you sit there going like, okay, why haven't they been doing this all this time? And it's like, oh, because they couldn't work it out unless they had someone to participate with for them to give them the broom. And it's built. Teens, we'll say teen for the time being. It's Teen's first time participating with the coven specifically, and you see how excited he was for it. And they're off. They're running. The road doesn't want them to go very far. I do have, again, just gotta. Aubrey Plaza is a fantastic witch, and she's been having so much fun on social media, just promoting this show. But the brooms, like them building the brooms from roots and from weeds, and putting together was fantastic. And I just love how these winding routes are basically their ride. Got a little bit of ET vibes going over the red moon.
That was a wonderful shot too. That was
yes,
so
it
cool.
was.
Yeah, I've heard people online complaining about campiness, but I think that at Halloween for a witches show, you have to be a bit campy. Like, do we not remember like all of the Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell movies and how they're absolutely campy, but we absolutely love them? Evil Dead, is absolutely something that if you're a Halloween fan, you've had to have watched. So love it. They go inside the house, and I've had arguments. Now, this is my question for you guys. Is this 80s or is this 90s? Because
80s.
I think it's 80s. Yeah.
I can't really. I was born in 1995, so I'm not gonna have an opinion. It looks more 80s to me, though.
Yeah, it's definitely 80s, and I think it's kind of portraying a little bit of like 80s horror films or just like 80s films in general, because some of the costumes that they have on kind of remind me of like the Poltergeist and Freddy Krueger and like some of the things that I've watched as a kid growing up. So a lot of those things. As soon as I saw them go in and saw what Agatha had that long jersey on, I was like, 80s horror film, because that is like iconic. That's like iconic for like 80s horror films. Just everything that they're wearing just screams 80s and then horror. And then I was like, if they pull out this one board, I'm gonna be, yes, this is awesome. And I knew it. I was talking to my brother. I was like, man, if they pull out man, this is going to be awesome. And they did it, but I know we're going to get there, but I don't want to talk too much into it. But yeah, this is definitely 80s horror films. Yeah. And then like what the teen Wiccan's wearing is kind of
Yeah.
like it's like what he is like. That's his comic.
With the
that's his
head,
comic
with
book
like a
That's
bit of
the
a
first.
headband.
That's the first thing
Yeah.
I noticed. That's the first, and it reminded me of the Halloween WandaVision episode. I was like, they look the same. I was
Yep.
like, so you
Mhm.
can't really hide it anymore. Like if you
Yep.
watched WandaVision, then you would piece it together. But I guess if you don't watch WandaVision, you would be like, I have no idea who that is.
Well, it's so funny because like this is like so random in the episode, but I realized I think it's Jennifer. How many times did they put her in a wig in this show, like over and over again? Like I loved her without the hair, and then they throw her into these wigs, and I think she had to have fun with it. And then of course Patti LuPone is amazing. Ali An, who is playing Alice, just so much fun. And yeah, it's absolutely, what are we going to do if it's going to be, and I would say it reminded me of the 90s a bit, because let's face it, in my life I kind of let the 80s blend into the 90s a little bit. But what are you going to do with a scary movie is have a sleepover, and we definitely get that. And of course they pull out the board, and the rules were interesting because I've never done Ouija. I've never been interested in doing it. But the rules for their Ouija board is different from the ones from like Milton Bradley, because they're the ones that have the monopoly, no pun intended, on the Ouija board game. It was almost kind of like they were purposely setting us up for what was going to happen, because once they said, don't take your hands off the planchette, I'm like, yeah.
It's the first thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Agatha's messing with them in the first part, you know.
I believed her. I believed her. Yeah. But I'm gullible. I was like, oh my God, it's Miss Hart. Oh no.
David, go ahead and say what you thought.
Oh my God. Okay. So when I was watching it get spelled out, my first thought was, Mr. Sharp? What? And then when they said it was like, oh, Mrs. Hart, of course it is. Of course. Okay. I thought it was another Ralph Boner moment.
Yeah, and you're not the first person to do that, because I've been seeing videos and we were sending them back and forth to each other. And then Johnny just sent me one recently. But yeah, I thought it was funny, like her like pretending to be Mrs. Hart. Of course, it gets serious. They finally get into it. Was not expecting. Well, how many of you watched the recaps before the episode?
No.
Okay, so I knew for this one it had to do something with her coven, because in the recap they gave us that scene from WandaVision. So they went back and they showed it to us. I'm like, okay, you're previously on Everything Marvel. This is not in WandaVision. They show us the entire almost a good chunk of the scene where, you know, they're trying to, you know, kill her and she takes all of their powers. And of course we get them searching for Agatha at that point, trying to figure out where she's at. I don't know if I have a good picture of her. I couldn't find a picture of her in her possessed state. But there's a lot to unpack about what her mother said in that episode. So I'm going to let you guys talk about it.
This is where I get confused, because I tried to go back and watch it again. Like this is where it starts to get a little blurry for me. I don't know, maybe I passed out a little bit because I had just worked and watched it at midnight. But this is where I get a little confused, because as we're watching it and we're trying to develop like what is Agatha's like end game here, and is she really trying to get people on the road to try to take their powers from her, or is there something else? Is she trying to bring back her son, or what is she actually doing? And then when we get her mother coming in and she's like, I should have killed you and all this jazz, and like you were evil when you came out the womb and all this, that's where I went blurry there. So if y'all could enlighten me a little bit more on this part, because I'm confused. So help me out.
It almost seems like there's an inner evil that even Agatha isn't aware of. It's like, you know, because she just sees like a mom that just hated her from birth, and she doesn't really quite understand why, but then she flips a switch and she's evil, and then it just kind of blurs.
That makes sense.
before I give a theory that I heard, I want to hear if anybody else has anything they want to say.
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
I know because the thing is, it said that they're punishing Agatha, so I feel like there's more than just the one punishment of hearing her son speaking or whatever. But go on with your theory because I'm kind of lost on that a little too.
So I think someone took the basis of like her comic history and other things, and supposedly Agatha's father was a witch hunter, and they believe that part of the reason why her mother hates her is because she was created without consent. Trying to put in the lines because I don't really like to say the specific, terms, but basically, her conception was by force, and that is part of the reason why her mother hates her. The moment when she makes this statement, "I can be good" or "I could be good," was Agatha trying to plead that just because of what my past was doesn't define me. But her mother then possesses her again. Alice goes to save her. And the problem with Agatha is her magic possession is almost an addiction for her. Shay Jones, who was on last week, she was on Fandoms last night. We talked a little bit about it. And one of the things she said was the moment she saw how Agatha responded when Alice started using the powers to try to save her was someone who's an addicted individual, and they're just craving them more, because as soon as she took that power, you could see her demeanor just changed and she stopped caring about everybody else. And it's almost a dependency, a dependency habit response. You don't care about other people. You're just wanting your fix, because all she did when she got out of that room was focus on, is she able to still manifest the powers? There's also a belief that she possibly is still possessed because of how maniacal or sinister she was as she looks at Billy at this point, and he's like, is that all witches are? They're all selfish. And he's like, that's not what I want. And he's like, she's like, are you sure? It seemed very dumb, like almost possessed, a possessed response from her. And then of course, then we get her exposing what she's assumed, I think is what she's assumed of Billy at this point, that, of course, he's the child of Wanda Maximoff, which then leads to everything that ended in that episode. But before we go any farther with that, let's talk about Alice. I absolutely hated that we lost her.
She was my favorite one.
Same.
She was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh, and the redemption arc, like lifting the curse, her yeah, of course at that point, in Marvel, if you get some familial resolving, like you all of your past demons are then literally up in flames, you're on the chopping block. That's just how it is. I mean, that's like the Tony Stark thing. But I liked her a lot, and I know you could see through the episode she really got close to Teen, aka I'm just gonna call her Billy at this point. But she got really close to Billy, and it was almost this, he looked at her and saw how she struggled with her mother. And I'm wondering if it was just because he had that longing as well. But and even to the point where they shared the brooms.
Yeah. She was the one to offer the ritual of the brooms, and it was just so sweet. And it's like, I should have known then something was going to happen, because it's always the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Billy's very emotionally driven, similar to someone else, but I felt for him when Alice died, and then I was like, oh, that's gonna ignite his hate. I thought he didn't like Agatha the whole time. Like, I thought he was faking it, like liking her or whatever his motive is. And I was like, oh no, this is the nail in the coffin. Like, this is the Maximoff way. Like, one person does something to piss them off and it's over.
And the straight face. Yep.
Oh my.
You could definitely tell that both Billy and Agatha, there was just like a flip, like a switch just flipped, and they both just went from A to like day and night, just like that. And
it reminded me a lot of, that Agatha, when she was talking to Billy, reminded me of the Agatha we knew in WandaVision, like the just evil witch that was just like trying to use Wanda. And then once she revealed herself to Wanda, she was acting like that.
Mm.
Like the way she was just like mean and evil. Like, I don't know. So it reminded me of that parallel of like Wanda versus Agatha and now Billy versus Agatha. Like, because Wanda's like, was like, I'm not a witch. I don't do any of that. And then Agatha's like, girl, yeah, you are. Like, are you serious?
Well, it's also like whatever Billy loves, because I mean, she killed the dog too, you know. And if
Ooh, I wonder if he knows that. So many questions.
oh man, interesting thing that I didn't catch until the second viewing is Rio doesn't leave the room with the rest of them.
Oh yeah.
She stays back with the body. Death, you know.
That's what I
just
was
kinda how
thinking,
Yeah.
because when she was talking to Agatha in that room, when she was like, I'm gonna use the bodies that, or like, you give me the bodies, something like that, she said.
yeah.
And I was like, oh,
And
she's
when
definitely doing something to Alice.
and
Mhm.
like previous episode when Billy was injured and she looks straight at Rio and says, "Don't," you
Yeah.
know, and it's like, you know, he's not for you right now. And
Right.
you know, man.
I can't wait for more about Rio. I'm very excited.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's been interesting because I mean, we had Hela in Ragnarok, and you know, she was kind of like Lady Death in a sense, but she's not. And to see Rio, and if she really is the embodiment of death, like what does that mean? How does that exist? Typically death stays away from the physical realm in the comics. And so this is different. This is new. And it'll be interesting to see if like they blend multiple characters to make her more of a, what's the word, a more tangible villain or a tangible entity.
I feel like the costume reveal is going to go crazy for that.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
Oh,
Well, her costumes have already been A1 this whole series. Like Rio's cut, like the green has been so good, and I just love Aubrey Plaza. She can do no wrong in my eyes.
I don't think it was
Absolutely.
a hard sell for them to get her into this show. All they had to do was show her how she was going to dress. Because I think, one, I mean, I loved her in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I've loved her in other stuff. But like, whenever she gets to like really show her inner freak is when she's really interested in something. And she's loved doing this. And they have made her a very, like, she's not been that silly. Other than the, you know, you don't have, you know, a bunch of nipples and stuff like that. You know, we get these little like quips from her, but it's, in a sense, I kind of feel like she's being serious. Let's go back a little bit. Patti LuPone has been preparing us, I think, for this episode as well. Her character, we know that in the first trial, when she's with Agatha, she's like, "We've got to save Agatha." And then the next vision she has in episode 4 is Alice no, or Alice don't. And it's almost like we need to kind of look and see if there's any, I want to go back and see if there's anything else like that would fill in the gaps from the stuff that she's, I kind of feel like it's fortune telling Tourette's at this point, because that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, there was an interesting thing that happened with her when they were all, I think it was episode 4, but they were all around the fire and they were like telling her witch stories or whatever. And all of a sudden they ask her a question and she pauses and she's like blank for a second. And then I forget the girl's name, asks like, hello? He goes, oh, what were we talking about? She goes, where did you go? I don't know if that means anything, but I think she's possibly maybe being possessed or something's going on there. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into too much. I'm just searching too much, but I've been seeing little things from her that just like jump out at me. Like, we got to pay attention to this character a little bit more.
Yeah, she's revealing things little by little, I think. Or like, I don't know. The whole thing with Alice, me and my friend were talking about this after the episode aired, and I was like, oh, she did say that about Alice, like telling don't, and that matches perfectly. Like, don't save Agatha. And so, yeah, I got to start paying attention to her now more. than I already was.
I mean, this kind of goes into it as well, but you know, in the last couple episodes, we've been getting these trials when you get into a house and you have to kind of like do this escape room thing, figure out what you have to do, and then you leave and you go to the next trial. Do you think the trials are done, or
No,
are we going to
still-
move on to something different?
I think we still have the Earth one, no? The Earth trial or the Green Witch trial.
Well, they're in the ground now, so that
Yeah, because
that
like
would line out.
Yeah,
we don't know. Yeah, what's
I
going on
don't
with that?
know. Yeah, I feel like he didn't. Everyone was assuming that they were killed, but I think Billy just sent them somewhere else. He wouldn't kill them.
Or maybe
that
that's the
quick.
next
There's-
trial.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
maybe he's
it's
been in
interesting,
control
though.
the whole time. I don't know.
there is some footage of like Agatha covered in dirt, like, or having like her clothes are dirty. There's I think I saw one theory online that possibly they were kicked off of the Witch's Road and they're gonna have to find their way back in. Because I could see him killing off Wanda, but the other two were 100%. They were supportive of him and concerned about him, and they never showed any animosity toward him. So I think it's possible. I mean, it will also be interesting to see if like the road kind of like if Billy is under some type of influence as well, because I mean,
Yeah,
he's Wanda's kid. I mean, he the emotionless look of execution, you know, we've seen it happen to what was it, Proxima Midnight. We've seen, you know, what Wanda can do to different people. We've seen Wanda throw what Vision down into the ground, deep down in the ground. So yeah, and let's talk about that reveal. First of all, music aside, that crown, that
Oh.
headgear,
beautiful, so good. Oh my gosh, I'm not over it. I'm not over it.
I am just waiting for a good version of a 3D print for it, and I am going full-fledged trying to print that thing out. Like,
I love how they did the crown. It looks like it's his own crown, but it also has hints of Wanda's, like I guess the material of it. It looks like shiny like hers, and it has that little darkness, but the blue. Oh, and he had like that stare during it. And I was like, oh my God, I was just losing my mind.
And the movement of his hands while the magic is kind of going through.
Yes, he must have studied because he did that. I was like, oh, he's going to take over their minds. Oh no, not like his mother. Like, oh no.
I didn't realize that Wiccan's powers are basically just like Wanda's. It kind of felt like that Shaq meme of I owe you an apology. I was unfamiliar with your game.
Yeah.
Now I want to know all about him.
Yeah, he's really cool. He's a great character. I'm excited to see more of him in the MCU.
Yeah, because I think the idea of him, he's got this. It's hilarious because if the sigil was on him and he didn't know who he was up until the point of where obviously he's not Nicholas Scratch, maybe he thought maybe he was Agatha's son, and not only was the reveal for Rio confirming for Agatha, but the fact that Nicholas Scratch talked to Wiccan through the Ouija board, and then we know that Nicholas Scratch then spoke to his mother. That's what kind of fulfilled, I think, in a sense, that he knew. Because people think, well, it was really a sigil against Agatha. I think it was also a sigil against Billy at that point, because Billy needed not to disclose anything about himself, because they would have been able to piece it together and we wouldn't have gotten as far down the road as we did. But once he knew, it's like everything got released. But this is a kid who's been studying analog witchcraft, and of course he loses his book just in time for him not to need it. And
Right.
you know, he studied it. He may not be like strong firm on it, but for being the son of one of the most powerful, or the most powerful witch that can just thought conjure things, like, and him having like analog knowledge, it's over. It's so over. And
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it.
I'm torn between he knew this all along, like he knew who he was and he was just playing everybody, or he literally had absolutely no idea and then one moment he like got all of those memories
What?
back. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I never thought about the idea of him putting the sigil on himself.
Yeah, I was thinking because my first instinct was like, oh, he's going to try to find his mom. Like he's going to go down the witch's road to find his mom at the end. That's what my first idea was, like my wishful thinking. Now, and he's smart. He knows how to get what he wants. So I was like, maybe he put the sigil on. He knows so much about witchcraft to like, come on. I don't know. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that would, I mean, if you go back to it, okay, just hear me out here for a second.
Or the show changes its name to Billy all along.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, or Wicked. That's what I was thinking. Like,
Wicked all
Agatha
along.
manipulated. Yeah, Agatha manipulated Wanda's hex. What if Billy was the one that got her that place and then inserted himself in a way that he knew would orchestrate himself down that road for no other purpose than to make Agatha taste the idea of getting power and then losing the chance.
Wow.
Like, that's a Maximoff right there. That's
exactly what I was thinking. Maximoff
oh my
revenge is
goodness.
like no other. But then how does
do you know what it's like to lose your heart?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh
and
my
I also think Rio knows everything that's going on. I feel like she's in the back too, like she's conspiring with Wiccan maybe. I don't know. Maybe said she could help him find his mom or something. I don't know.
Well, death has been known in the comics to assist and aid individuals who promise to bring her bodies and souls. Like that was Thanos. Thanos made a deal with death. Yeah, so like I don't think we're gonna get like an Infinity level, event with Billy, but the fact that he's like, you want Agatha, I'll make it so you can get Agatha. I'll make it like we'll whatever's binding you, I'll help you break it. Like, and what better person to do it than the son of, and you could imagine if she's death, and let's say Wanda really did die on Mount Wundagore. What if it's a trade? I'll give you the chance to finally finish off Agatha if you give me my mom back.
Yeah, who put Wanda's body there? Now is what I'm coming back to.
Well, if it was all a vision,
yeah. So, yeah,
because we know for a fact now that those pictures there was no real body,
right? And then Rio was like, "That witch is gone" or something like that. Never said dead. She just said gone, or whatever she said. She's not here or something like that. So, like, why was she in the beginning of the show then if she didn't know what's going on? I don't know. Now I'm getting myself confused.
unless Billy knew, because Billy was there when his mother, banished her to Westview. And so, he either gets reincarnated or he, finds his soul in another's body, i.e. the car crash outside of Westview.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, I'll tell you where she is, and then we'll work this out. And then that's why she ended up showing up at the same time. Again, I'm saying all of this, and it's next week is gonna be like that. I'm like, forget I said anything.
Next week could be like a flashback to like fill in some of the gaps beforehand, just because of that.
Wasn't that episode 6 for WandaVision 2? Like usually the 6 episodes when you kind of get
how Wanda found Vision and how it all started.
Yes, with like the what is grief if not love persevering? Was that episode?
Yeah,
6?
I think that was the whole. Let me just look and see here. WandaVision.
Wow, this chat has really got me all excited for this show all over again. I can't wait for freaking Wednesday again. Like I'm ready.
The minute I was done with it on Wednesday, I was like, I have to wait another week. And I was like on my Instagram story, I was like, I need to talk to someone about this. Like I was like, I can't be quiet. And I haven't felt that excited since WandaVision. Like I was like,
Right?
Feeling it.
I messaged Toniann like very shortly after. I think it was like Thursday, and it was like it wasn't like a sure I'll do it. It was like a heck yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be hard. Like I knew Sarah would want to be here, but with Yom Kippur she couldn't do it. Which we're missing you, Sarah. Okay, so episode 6 of WandaVision was the Halloween Spooktacular. So that was when they were in the costumes. Episode 7 was the breaking the fourth wall, and then episode 8 was the whole her taking her through the journey of her past. That was the previously on. So I guess that was a theory I could debunk it myself. So well. But
I hope next week we get more information on Wiccan or Billy, not Teen. I want to know about Billy. I want to know like because you didn't just realize you had powers like that. You were too good at that. You were way too good at that.
Yeah. Or what snapped or what what happened that led him just like be just who he was. That's what had me confused.
Tone shift. Like he was like the happy-go-lucky, and then he was like, "Oh, Agatha, you might die right now." Like,
yeah.
I'm like looking to see if we have any runtime information about the next episodes.
I hope it's not short.
I honestly feel like you said earlier. I think it was you that said it earlier, Toniann. I feel like they had to end the episode when they did. Too much more would have left us hanging with way too much information. If we would have done anything shorter and we wouldn't have gotten the Billy reveal, it wouldn't have felt like a full episode. I think they left us with some really heavy things. That was a great bait for us to want to come back next week. Like we weren't already addicted. But if we weren't going to get another cover of the Ballad of the Witch's Road, we got, You Should See Me in a Crown, with Billy in a crown. And so everything good. Upheaved, and it was just my goodness, it was just
like the reactions online. I was like in Marvel's comments, people were like, "Bestie, you have to put out the next episode. Like, what's going on? You cannot leave us hanging like that."
At least for this, it didn't feel like they did this in the Acolyte, where they had to cut one episode into two. And the end of one literally led into the other one, and it was just such a weird cut. This one actually felt like an ending, at least.
It was one of those endings where it's like you're gonna remember the moment that Wiccan was revealed. Like, they executed it perfectly, but I'm still upset that we only got like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those episodes where it could have been like, Billy / Wiccan will return in. And it's just
exactly.
It's the mic drop moment that I absolutely love. A while ago, Mickey said this in the comments. I don't trust Marvel with endings lately. They have a hard time landing these without any trouble. I really feel like this is the exception. This is really feeling like the exception. I mean, we've got, what is it? How many episodes are we going to get total? Let's see here. We've got next week's, 8, right? We've got the week after. So there's 4 more episodes. So we got one on the 16th, one on the 23rd, and then there's 2 on the 30th. So we've got 4 more episodes to go.
Wow.
And
9 episodes. Wow.
I'm having emotions about that now.
Right before Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they did that perfectly too.
Everything about this, like, they did so perfectly. Like, it's so well articulated. So good. All of it. The press too about it. All the posters. So good.
Wherever I am this Wednesday, I'm going to manage to watch.
That picture of Billy, I love it so much. Like, that is my son. I love him.
Understanding the whole concern that people have had because of like the lack of Romani representation, the lack of Jewish representation. I understand that. I empathize with that, but I don't know. And then you see the promotional images that Joe Locke has been doing for this show. Like you can tell he's ready to be a menace, and I am here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. It looks like it's going to be so much fun.
Like this look right here, like we've never seen that from Teen thus far. Like, this is
Mhm.
dark. This is Maximoff. Like, this is not whoever else we saw before. This is different.
This the
This
game
is a kid
face.
he's lived decades in days, basically, if you think about it. Like
Yeah.
the way he was forced to grow up so fast through WandaVision,
Mhm.
and then 3 years of an absence, knowing his mother is gone, having to deal with the person who helped make it difficult for her mother or for his mother, and that's a face you don't want to be on the other side of when he's moving those wrists.
Yeah.
Like,
I was very pleasantly surprised with this moment. Like, because
mhm,
we only saw him as teen, which is like the funny, like lighthearted, whatever. And then this, like, not changed my mind because I didn't think he was gonna be a bad Wiccan at all. But I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. If he can do the switch like that and it's like
mhm.
seamless, yeah, we're good. I think we're good.
It's giving me that if they end up doing Young Avengers down the road and they have him with Hulkling, like, we're gonna get those nice, fun, intimate moments with him,
Yes.
the team, with his significant other. But then when it comes to business and dealing with things like, like, let's say a Kang level event, like, he's gonna get involved and he's gonna get, down and dirty. And that's the face of a good um protagonist, and I'm looking forward to it.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That crown is just so gorgeous. I keep staring at it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
so beautiful.
I want more of it because I want to see how far it goes. Like,
Yeah.
does it do the full cowl thing for him? Like, does he
Mm.
take on some points? Like, we get such a good, like, view of it with the sheening, like, purple, but then we don't get anything to where we
Yeah.
want to, and mm.
Was this like the moment, like in WandaVision, when Wanda became the Scarlet Witch, where like the crown appeared? Is that what just happened with Wiccan? Like, did he just become
Mm.
Wiccan? Or, or was it a reveal like, oh, I've been this the whole time?
Mhm.
You know?
I wonder that too. We also have an image of him that I've been seen before, where he is standing over what's like it's kind of like the pentagram, but it's like the hex
Yes.
shape and a star. And I'm wondering if that's a flashback. Because
Yeah, because he did that
I
in
wonder,
WandaVision too, didn't he?
I think he did something similar because he had power and he was able to divert some bullets and stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
a
know,
way to
right?
end an episode. Like, this was
Right.
like, whoever did this, I posted this on Threads. I was like, whoever put that song at the end, I'm gonna give you a kiss. Like, that was beautiful.
I don't
I
know
loved
why.
it.
I've been going through TikTok. I've been waiting for somebody to be like, it's like, I don't have to do this. Like, sit down, and you're like, I'm sad, and it's this
Yeah.
image. Like,
Yes. I've been waiting to post about it because I know people don't want to see spoilers yet. But I've been
Yep.
reposting a lot of like edits, like a lot of like, oh, we didn't talk about when she said you're just like your mother, or you whatever she said.
no, we didn't.
Agatha?
Yeah.
That was like the evil Agatha that I was like, that's WandaVision Agatha.
Mm.
Like, she was
Right.
spitting. She was like, you're just like your mother. Like, what? I was shook. Even though I knew, I was still shook. I was like, oh, Wanda mentioned I love this.
I almost wonder, she got a taste for power. I wonder if sometimes that what part of her ability that she can drain people is that she can sense power. And like I said earlier about the addiction to power, like, what if she was trying to get him? Like, the sigil's broken. She knows who he is. She knows that he's Billy Maximoff. She knows he's Wanda's child, which means he's going to be powerful. And she was prodding him to get his power. And the first thing he does is like, nope, I saw you with my mom. Let me take over the
Yeah.
other two to throw her in the dirt. Like, you're not getting my power.
I don't know
You're not
why
going to do what
Agatha
you did to Alice.
I don't know why Agatha even thought that was gonna fly. Like, come on. You got
I
bodied
really,
by Wanda, and she didn't even know how to use her powers correctly. Like,
I really wanted Agatha to be a good guy. Like, I wanted her to be like this, like, Nick Fury of the magic realm of stuff, like working in tangent with Doctor Strange, and kind of like leading to Midnight Suns and stuff like that. Now I don't really care. I don't. I was like,
Yeah.
I still like the concept of Agatha, but it's like if she ends up being good, that's great. I'm glad we got this, and that's all.
I kind of want her to stay a villain. I think we need a villain that stays a villain, that just like carries on through. I don't know. I like villain Agatha.
You mean one that doesn't actually die and
Yeah, like
Yeah.
one that like I don't know. Like maybe I don't know, maybe more I don't know. Like the funny villain, I just really like. I really like that they're doing this. Like I mean, I like Loki as like the anti-hero or whatever. But like Agatha just
Mhm.
being a villain makes so much sense for her. I can't imagine her like helping anyone that doesn't help herself. I can't imagine that.
you know that's a good point. I think one of the things the MCU does suffer from is not having pragmatic allies. Individuals who they're good, but they're not good. But in the moment you're in a pinch, that their skill set is what you need, and you make temporary alliances where it's kind of like what she did with Rio. It's like this is like Sweden. We're gonna deal with this problem, and then we're gonna go off our merry way and hate each other. We do need more characters like that. We need that.
Yeah,
I think
it keeps
that
it
spice
interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
Because I mean, if everyone's good, then what are we doing? There needs to be
Right.
bad people, and like it's fun to have like bad guys on your side, because that happens in anime a lot. So I don't know. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I really like how they're really like salt and peppering us with like young Avengers. We're getting all these characters that are eventually probably going to be like the villains and the anti-heroes or the protagonists and antagonists for young Avengers. So, because they're sprinkling them in here, so all these little young characters are coming out now. It's pretty much they're gearing up for young Avengers, and I like what they're doing.
I wonder
And
if
it's a good
Billy's gonna
cast
have
of
a villain
characters.
arc.
Yes, it is.
Man, if the end credit scene to this show is Kate Bishop coming to recruit him, oh my god.
Yo.
Or you see Kamala Khan coming after her, or after Wiccan, and all of a sudden like she shows him the roster and he sees Hulkling and he's like, oh, what?
Like, I didn't know you were
It's
gonna
like-
be in this.
Yeah, it's like
Well, because he references his boyfriend early in the show, right? Is that Hulkling or is that someone else?
I think that's what they're speculating. That's what
That's
people
what I
are
was-
speculating.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because he never showed a picture or anything. He just said my boyfriend. So
Mhm.
Yeah, and they talked about Hulkling in what was that? She-Hulk at the end,
yep.
and then
I wish they explained that more though in She-Hulk. I was like, where did this guy come from? What do you like? Because I was too focused on Matt Murdock at that time in that scene. I was like, who?
Yeah, Hulk just goes, "This is my son. This is my son here," and then it cuts.
And it would make sense that if, let's say, Billy has taken on, if he's, let's say, not necessarily Billy Maxwell, but Billy Kaplan, and he's been revived, he's trying to like find his way, he would go to one of the Avengers. He might go to Clint Barton, he may end up going to to Bruce Banner, and of course we know Bruce brought his son back from Sakaar, and you never know, like as we're going through, like, are we going to get more intertwining with these characters? Because I would think I'm a child of a former Avenger. Let me go seek out some of the Avengers, see if I can get a basis of what I'm doing, and then they realizing like I don't really like playing by the rules. Let me go and just exact some revenge on one of the persons that was a pain in the side of my mother.
Yeah. I have so many questions about Billy and his brother too, because now I'm like, where is he? Where are we gonna see him in Vision Quest? Like, does he know he has a brother? Like, so many questions about the damn Maximoffs. My head hurts. I'm like, I need these questions answered. Like, does he know? Is he gonna go find him, or is he gonna find his mom, or is he gonna find his brother to find his mom? I don't know.
Man, there's so much there.
So
This is what I feel like we've been missing. I will say, I was a very big proponent telling people, phases 4 and 5 were not that bad, and they weren't. They, it wasn't phases 1 through 3. I get that it's not as epic as Endgame and Infinity War, but at the same time, there are some quality things. But what we've been missing is this excitement about what intertwines and what connects. And I feel like there is a good connective tissue with the Young Avengers that we could see that moving forward. And I would not be against that, especially since we're getting Secret Wars. We are gonna get some soft reboots of characters. I feel like that's the way they're gonna go. But I feel like this cast of young, heroes has got to be the focal point. And I think it's a brighter future for the MCU with that.
Oh, most definitely. I think that's what they're really. That's like the long haul game here for them, or like making like a really good soup. You have to put all these different ingredients, slow cook it a little bit, let things marinate, let things work, and then we're gonna get a really good Young Avengers. Either I would like a string of movies, but that would be awesome if they brought all these together and did that. But yeah, I think that's what the end game is.
Yeah.
I mean, it took 10 years to get to Endgame. It's got to be a slow process,
Right. I think they're doing a good job too. Like, people complain that they just drop the characters in their laps and then they have to just deal with it. It's like, no, we're getting introduced to them, and then you're going to see them more, and then you can see them come together, and we can have the Young Avengers. And look, you got to know them already. So
yeah,
and a lot, and a lot of people got to understand they can't complain, because everyone's like, I'm tired of watching the superhero movie, the first one always being an origin story. Well, we're getting an origin story within another established show from a character who was an origin story within another established show. Agatha from WandaVision, Wiccan from Agatha all along, and we're seeing these things intertwine. You're getting what you've complained that you wanted for so long. Now take it and understand it's not going to be the same recipe anymore, and it's okay. It's going to be okay.
I agree. They just need to sit down and eat their food. That's what I want to say to them. like we're getting fed. Like, we're getting Daredevil soon. Like, we're good. Oh my gosh. I liked Echo too. I was going to say that we got the background on Echo.
Yep.
I was wondering that. Like, could you imagine not getting a background on like Wanda, like not knowing anything about her? She just popped up. And then it's just like, oh, okay. Or Tony Stark. Like, you don't just want to start from where the movie starts. You want to know everything.
Yeah. And see, it worked for Wanda. If you really think about it, Wanda Maximoff's origin story went through years. We're talking an end credit scene in, I think it was
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. We had her in Age of Ultron. We had Civil War. We've got Infinity War and Endgame. And then all of a sudden we get that real meshing of what all of that meant in WandaVision. And it's like, we were ready for it. And to think we've had her for so long, and we knew she was a Scarlet Witch, but it wasn't until then that she was the Scarlet Witch. And then we get this, and we've got Billy, and we've seen Billy, and now we get to see more of Billy, and how that works. Yeah, it's a good time to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I really love what the MCU is doing with the shows and movies. It's like the comic books, you have like these ongoing runs, and then in between you have these little mini series, and then you have your events, which are like the big movies of the summer. And then like in comic books, you also have like your first appearances and your half appearances, and and then your full appearance, or like your full first book, which would be the first full movie of you. And then they're doing that. They're just implementing those same things that comic books have been doing for years, and just implementing into the MCU. And I love it.
And that's a good point, because I remember when the timeline came out for the MCU, people were like, do you realize how terrible it is that a franchise has to have a timeline? And it's like, no, that's what the comics have done. The comics would do like these breakdowns. In fact, Marvel did a number of books that broke down what universe something was in, and what the continuity was, and where these appearances were. We're getting movies that are reminiscent to the comic book styles. And we've got limited runs.
Yep.
We've got one shots when you think of things like Werewolf by Night and
Yep.
the holiday special. It's great. It's so great. And later on down the road, if like, let's say, Moon Knight was not a critically successful, I think, production, in the sense of there was like some timing issues and things like that. And of course you push for CGI, but if someone goes, you know what, I'd like to make a really good Moon Knight movie, they can do it now. They have that ability. Or Moon Knight crosses over into something else. We can see that. But with that said, what do you guys look forward to in the weeks to come? What do you think the end? I know Wanda Maximoff is the big ask. We want to see her. But what else? What would you be also satisfied seeing coming out of this show?
Part of me wants to see Wiccan be like kind of a villain, like kind of want his revenge. I would be happy with that. Like if he doesn't leave the show good, or like end the show good. Like I don't know. Like the Young Avengers have to work to recruit him. Like that type of thing. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I love a good like emotional anti-hero, so.
Yeah, I feel much the same in that, like, maybe he goes down the same path or similar path as Wanda, and someone has to like reel him back and go like, this is what your mother did, and it didn't end well for her. So like maybe think about,
or maybe even his brother, like maybe even Tommy is like, bro, this is not it. Like, mom did this, and look what happened. No.
Right. I don't know. I'm just like I said at the top, I really didn't know I was going to like this. Like, really, I was like more about the Penguin than anything. And now every week, I'm just so excited for this to come out on Wednesdays night when I get home. I want to see what this leads, because this actually has to feed into something else. What are we going to get? What is this going to result into? What is this going to manifest into later? Or what's coming next? I think that's the big thing, because Marvel, they're going to have something last episode, going to have some reveal or some end credit scene that's going to happen that's going to lead into something that has to deal with Billy or his mom or whatever, and that leads into something else. And what is that? And I'm excited to find out.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll be Doctor Doom related, because it's been speculated that Wanda is his love interest or whatever. She brainwashed him or whatever the case is. So maybe, or like maybe we'll just see her hand and it's like, and Doom's mask or something. I don't know. Wishful thinking, but maybe.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know. It kind of feels weird for me, the idea of like someone that looks like Tony Stark being a love interest for Wanda.
I know. It's the mask. The mask has to stay on.
Yeah. That's got a deeper subtext. My thought is, seeing how Billy was at the end of this episode, it kind of sounds like he has an affinity against witches now, thinking that they're all like Agatha. And I always thought that part of what Agatha did was she hunted other witches because she has a hatred toward them. And I wonder if there's going to be a point where, let's say in this show, Billy does go off the deep end like Wanda, like it's been said, but it kind of resolves because at some point he realizes he's acting just like Agatha.
Yeah.
He's hunting down the witches and he realizes, no, I've got to be the difference. And maybe he tries to, enact judgment, but at the same time do it in a way that's not like, murder, kill, that kind of thing. So
yeah, good point.
That's interesting. Yeah, man, I'm excited.
And
Is it Wednesday yet? Is it Wednesday yet?
I know. It's like, I mean, it's like I watched the episode Wednesday and then I'm like chomping at the bit to come talk about it here. And then it's like this feeds a little bit of the desire, of the craving, and then it's like, crap. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 freaking days.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna be watching the next episode on my train to New York City.
Hmm.
Me, like on my phone, just like I'm not missing that. I need to. I
I'm
got Hulu with no ads, so I can watch, or Disney Plus with no ads, so I could just watch
Get
it
it.
all
right.
the way through.
Well, I'm saying this. If next episode's a big deal, just remember, y'all can talk about it at the convention. My energy out here, and
If
if you
something about
get
Wanda's mentioned, I'll
bored,
be screaming. Oh yeah.
Oh
you know,
man,
Oh
if
I'm
you get
meeting
bored
Elizabeth
and you're
Olsen on Thursday.
I just realized so am I, so I
oh
have to watch it Wednesday.
Yeah. I still don't know what I'm gonna say to her. That oh my gosh. Like I love you. That's it. I just
it's
love
like
you so
it's like
much.
mommy.
Yes. Like you are mother. Like you adopt me, please. Like
Wow.
And the fact that she's such a fan of the character,
that's
I
what makes it
mean,
so much better. Like you can tell
yeah,
she wants Wanda done well. It's not just like throw whatever. She wanted Wanda to be crazy with her 2 kids she made from magic. And that happened. And she said there's a window open. It's wide open for her to come back. So
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I knew. I think the moment for me in WandaVision when I'm like, this isn't House of M, but it's as close as we're gonna get, and I'm okay with that. Was when she sent Monica Rambo through the wall and out the hex. Like
Mhm.
at that moment, I'm like, dang, this
That was
woman
so
is.
badass. And then she pointed all the guns
Diabolical.
at the I forgot his name already. When she like took control of all the guns and pointed it at the one guy. And she's like,
Yeah,
I'm not the one with the guns, but I'll take them. And I'll
yeah.
take you. Oh, love her.
It's like, sheesh.
Man, I'm
Crazy.
jealous. I'm jealous for you because you're gonna see her. I'll be
Yeah.
there. I'll just wave at you looking at her.
I'm gonna be in like another world. Like I'm gonna probably black out. Like I don't even know what I'm gonna do.
Probably.
Like
It's gonna go like this. And you'll be there for like
I'm
2
gonna be
minutes.
like, oh my god, because I'm taking a picture with her and getting her autograph. So I have like 2 times I can speak to her. I'm just, oh my god. My husband was like, make the best of the 2 minutes you have.
You need to look at her and be like, you're getting a photo, right? You're getting the photo.
Yes.
So you'd be like, can I hug you? Can that
Oh
be my
yeah.
photo? Like,
Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm making because that was a lot of money. I don't know if I can do that again. I'll make the most of it.
oh man, that's cool. Well, again, I'm gonna be jealous of all you guys at New York Comic Con. I hope you have a great time. Before we end the show this evening, just a couple things. If you are listening, I will try to make sure that everybody's information is in the show notes. You can definitely check those out to get that information. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. Thank you for watching. All of you guys who've been watching it, making the podcast very successful. The last time I checked an Apple Podcast, when you searched up Agatha All Along, we were 4th on the list, and we were under the actual official Marvel podcast. So I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful for that. But please be
Nice.
sure, if you guys are listening on podcast, please rank it. Leave a review. 5 stars would be appreciated. But be honest, regardless of it, I've just appreciated you guys being along for the journey. And for those of you who are watching, whether you're watching on X or you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check us out. You'll want to remember to follow itsfanbox.com. It is right now currently pointing to the YouTube channel, but at some point it's going to be pointing to a website, and you're going to want to see what we do next. But before we go there, Juan, go ahead and start us off, and we'll go clockwise on the screen. Go ahead and tell us where we can find you, and give our last goodbyes.
You can find me in the club. Oh no, you can find me on TikTok. I'm only on TikTok now, but like I said at the top, I'm trying to work in some stuff for like YouTube and all that other jazz. But right now, solely on TikTok. Juan Reads Comics.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Right. You said clockwise, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Toniann again, and you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Scarlet Bruja or the Scarlet Bruja. And you can join my hex.
I am Xanatos1138 on all socials, mostly TikTok. And TikTok has been doing one of those things where like the follows have just kind of stopped and not gone anywhere. It does that occasionally. So if you would like to stop by, I do a bunch of pop culture stuff. Please follow. Thank you.
And David, if you would like to solve that problem, you could just do like what I did. I put a title on a TikTok video that says Agatha lies all along, and it's gotten over 75,000 views and a lot of angry comments. Which I really didn't say she lied. I just said I think it's gonna look like she lied because of some of the things that she said. Yeah, it does well. But you can find me here on His Fanbox. Be sure to memorize these beautiful faces, and if you see them at New York Comic Con, be sure to tell them hi. I can tell you right now,
Yes.
it is so much fun when followers or viewers can jump on and say, "Hey, I've seen you somewhere." But with that said, please be sure to check us out. We will be back next week. Some of us will be back next week, Saturday, at 10 p.m. Eastern time, talking about episode 6 and the craziness that is going to ensue from that episode. With that said, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.